Hello everyone. I'm here to do Real Housewives of Atlanta season 8 episode 2. You say hi. So let's get into it. It just was really a continuation of what happened last week with Kenya and Sheree, and I still don't even understand why Kenya came at Sheree so hard, but you know Kenya, she's always stirring up drama for the ratings naturally. So, at some point, Kenya goes to meet up with Kim Fields, who was Tootie on The Facts of Life, and Regine on Living Single. So, what? I'm not laughing. So, she goes to meet up with her to, pitch the idea for, her to direct, Life Twirls On. And honestly, Kenya's Life Twirls On, the pilot, the little piece that she had to take with her to pitch it to people, it was cute for what it was, but I don't know if I really see it going anywhere. I don't know. If maybe Kenya changes a few things around, but I don't know. It was a nice little, I'm not hating, it was a nice little, pilot, that she, a little reel that she recorded. I thought it was nice for what it was, but hopefully, if Kenya knows how to take direction or deal with people or whatever, hopefully it could be better. But anyway, she was speaking to Kim Fields, and Kim Fields is giving her all kinds of side eyes. I don't think Kim Fields was meaning to be shady. I just think those were her facial expressions when, Kenya was talking or whatever. So, why are you grabbing all in my shirt, little girl? It's not funny. So, yeah, look, you want to see? You want to be in the camera? That's you. So, yeah, they were sitting there discussing it. So, Kim Fields is she'll consider it, and she took the CD or whatever. So, Kenya was just asking her if she still had her skates from, Tootie from The Facts of Life, and, Kim was like, I think it's in the Smithsonian, and Kenya was all on eBay. So I'm like, I don't know if that was shade or if that was just diarrhea of the mouth. I don't know. So anyway, who do we get to? So basically, Phaedra and Cynthia meet up, and they're just sitting there discussing, the situation with Sheree and Kenya, and then also Sheree goes to meet up with Kandi at her boutique tags, and they're discussing as well. So Cynthia is like, well, she doesn't really know why Sheree and Kenya were going back and forth at it or whatever, but she had her own issues going on. Then they started talking about Peter and what he was doing, and Phaedra is like, although Cynthia did what she did to me last year, I'm not one to kick a person while they down. I will be here for her while she's going through what she's going through in her marriage. So then it went from Cynthia and Peter to Kandi and Phaedra. So at Candy's store, Sheree came in with her two daughters, Callie, and Tiara. And I gotta say, Callie grew up. Oh my God, I feel like that child was just 11, 12 years old yesterday. The last time we saw her on TV, she was still young. I'm like, oh my God, look how tall and beautiful she is. I was so floored. I was like, wow, these Housewives of Atlanta kids be growing up quick. Have y'all seen Brielle? Brielle done grew up. Bryce and Brent and all of these kids. I'm like, geez, Riley? They all growing up. But anyway, yeah, so they're discussing Phaedra and Candy's friendship, and Kandi is like, I'm not trying to be shady or make it seem like Nene is a terrible person, but when she befriended Nene, it kind of had me like, but Sheree was like, but wasn't Nene, talking about her? Didn't Nene not like Phaedra? And Kandi was like, thank you. You feel the same way I feel. She was like, yeah, I remember when she couldn't stand Phaedra. And she was like, exactly. So, I feel like Phaedra and Nene have matured because Nene could relate to what Phaedra was going through with the whole divorce. I mean, not so much her husband going to jail, but the whole divorce talk and everything, and the whole situation that Phaedra was going through. That's what Nene could relate to. So Phaedra just felt like Candy wasn't being there for her, and Candy felt the same way. Basically, Candy and Phaedra's relationship is just a lack of communication. That's what it is, but I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, they're they're basically like, they just need to get together and talk. They need to have a conversation, because it's like, it's always hey girl, but it's always words when they're not around each other. They're always talking about each other to other people. So anyway, Portia meets up with her team, and they're having a meeting about her starting a lingerie line and continuing her go naked hair. And then they brought in her love life, because Portia was like, so I won't have time for my man Duke. And they were like, well, we would much rather you focus more on your business than your personal, because when a man does you wrong, you shut down or whatever, and we feel like you're distracted and you're unfocused. And she like, really? I feel like I'm at my best when I'm when I'm in love, when I'm, when I got a man in my life. And I'm like, I don't know. She wanted to have like a sip and see. A sip and see. Every time I hear sip and see, I think of Phaedra and all of them. When they came to see, who was it? Was it Aiden? Aiden, when he was first born, and all of them in there with their little wine bottles to see a baby. So every time I hear sip and see, I start dying, because I'm like, y'all really do this down south? Like, that's really a normal thing? Or is that something that's just sedity? Because I've never heard of that in my life, but whatever. So Portia comes up with this idea to throw a party for Duke. I mean, I guess just to show him off. I don't get it, but whatever. So at the party, everybody came. Phaedra and them came and whatever. And again, Candy was like, every time we're at an event, she's like, hey girl, but it's like we're in a weird space because we need to have like this long overdue conversation. So at the event, Lauren announced that she was pregnant, 13 weeks. Here come Portia and her ditzy moment, talking about some 13 weeks. Is that 2 months? I can't add. Portia, we know you can't add. We know you thought the Underground Railroad was a train. You thought there was 265 days in a year. Like, we get it, Portia. You just a little bit dumb, a little bit of a dunce, but it's okay. It's okay. We love you anyway. So, Portia did seem like a little bit jealous because Lauren was pregnant before her. And I mean, that can happen, especially if having a baby is something that you really want. But, I mean, be happy for your sister. She's pregnant, and, right now she needs all the support that she can get, because pregnancy is like the craziest, most emotional roller coaster time of any woman's life. So, she had the party, and she had a little jersey on with his last name, her last name. Portia, are we cousins? Because we got the same last name. We might be cousins, distant ones. I'm gonna have to look it up on Ancestry.com. But yeah, anyway. So, he comes in, and Portia had these little cheerleaders and everything set up for when he came in. He walked in, and he was surprised. So, I mean, the whole entire time they were there, everybody was glad to see him and saying how cute he was. But her family was like, I feel like y'all are on a fast track. Like, I feel like everything's happening so fast. So Portia is like, well, when you're like so in love with somebody, when you just know. But her family is like, they don't really know him. So it's like they don't really have, Duke and Portia don't really have their approval yet, because they don't really know him like that, which is understandable. And I mean, Portia is doing this all too soon. Like, first of all, you only been with dude a month. Me, if I'm dating somebody, trying to get to know them, a month is not enough time for me to know exactly who you are. I'm still trying to figure out if you're a serial killer or not, you know, in a month's time. I'm Googling the hell out of you after I known you for a month. I'm Googling you. I'm trying to look up if you got criminal records. I'm trying to find out who your family is, what they do for a living. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I do. After no month, I'm not throwing you no party, showing you off, letting you meet my family. I'll let you meet my family later on. We're going to get to know each other first. And then maybe 6 to 8 months down the line, you could possibly meet my family or whatever. So you'll know them and they'll know you. And then we could continue dating and getting to know each other. But I mean, Portia is just moving way too fast with this dude. And the whole entire time, dude was like nervous in the whole party. Like she's sitting up here giving him MVP awards and all of that. And he looked like he was about to poop in his pants. And I'm just sitting here like, this is the most awkward sip and see. Oh my God. Every time I say that or hear it, I just bust out laughing. But this is the most awkward sip and see ever. And I'm like, I was basically like, okay, I'm uncomfortable for everybody that's in that room right now. I feel awkward, and I'm not even on the show, you know. So anyway, moving on, we finally get introduced to Kim Fields and her family. She has a husband that she's been married to for 8 years. She met in Atlanta, named Chris. She has a son named Sebastian, who's 8, and another son who she had recently named Quincy. He's 18 months. And, you know, she basically said that she's more so behind the scenes. She's been directing. I mean, people know her as Tootie in Regime, but ever since then, she hasn't really been in front of the camera as much. She's been behind the camera. And she's like, if she's not, she doesn't really see herself as a celebrity. She sees herself as, you know, she's a mom, she's a director, and, you know, she's like, I don't be on red carpets because if I'm not in the movie, what am I going to the red carpet for? I'm like, that's true. So she's just so in, like, you know, she's business oriented, but she's also focused on being a mother and a wife and all of that first. I mean, I respect her hustle. I love me some Kim Fields. She don't miss a beat. But she did say that, her and her husband suffered 2 miscarriages while they were trying to like conceive and have their other son. And you know, I mean, it's sad. I hate to hear about women who have miscarriages. Like, I think that is the saddest thing in the world. But I mean, luckily she said that they dealt with it. How they dealt with it. She wasn't angry, she wasn't sad, they just dealt with it. But finally they had their miracle baby, Quincy. So, you know, I'm like, I'ma like Kim Fields on this season, frankly, because she's Kim Fields, okay? So, and then I see a lot of people on Twitter talking about something, I don't even know who Kim Fields is. That's why you don't need to be on Twitter. If you don't know who Kim Fields is, you don't need to be on any form of social media, because that's sad. And and I don't even think I would say that. I would, you know, I would Google. Because I didn't know who Phaedra and well, no, I knew who Cynthia was. I didn't know much about her, but I knew she was a model. And I didn't really know much about Phaedra at first, but when they kept bringing up that she represented Bobby Brown on a case, I was like, oh, okay, her name sounds familiar. Google is your friend. Google Kim Fields if you don't know who she is. But I'm just like, yeah, y'all don't need to be on Twitter. Y'all don't need to be on no type of social media talking about you don't know who Kim Fields is. You bugging. So, what else happened? Oh, Cynthia is still bothered by the whole Peter situation because they haven't talked about it. Peter went to Charlotte, didn't speak to her about the whole situation. So Cynthia is like, you know, she's basically like, if we're going to get divorced, then we're going to get divorced. If not, we're going to work it out. I don't know. But I honestly feel like Cynthia has done more crying in her marriage to Peter. I mean, just what I'm seeing on these seasons of Real Housewives of Atlanta, she's done more crying in this marriage than she has done smiling. And it's like, it's always something with Peter. If it's not financial issues, it's drama. You know, it's too much. And I don't know how she put up with it for all these years. But hey, if she like it, I love it. It's her life. What else? Candy and Phaedra finally have their talk, and you know, they're basically like, Candy says she feels like that Phaedra puts on, you know, she when they're together, they're cool, but when they get around other people, Phaedra changes up, basically like Phaedra's Two-Face. So Phaedra said that she's upset with Candy because she feels like they are more on Apollo's side than they're on her. She was like, she feels like that because they have Apollo stuff in their house and they didn't tell her anything. She feels kind of like their loyalty to her is not, well, their loyalty is not to her, it's to Apollo. And my whole thing is, I mean, Todd and Apollo are best friends. Phaedra and Candy are best friends. Whatever is going on between Apollo and Phaedra, Candy and Todd really shouldn't get involved in too much. And I do feel like the guys are more so on Apollo's side. But my whole thing is, I feel like Apollo is dead wrong on all aspects, because if Apollo really cared about everything that's going on as far as Phaedra, then he wouldn't have did what he did to go to jail. And then for everybody to sit up here and get on Phaedra about not bringing her kids to Kentucky to visit him in jail, I'm gonna say this because I know from personal experience from visiting loved ones in jail, jail is not a place where kids need to be. Yeah, people bring their kids there, but do y'all know how much of a bad effect that has on kids? Jail is not a place for kids to be at, whether they're visiting or not. That is the most uncomfortable, dirty, scary place. I used to wake up 4 or 5 in the morning with my mother. We used to get in a van that used to take us all the way to Pennsylvania to visit a family member in jail. And then you there from like maybe 8 to like maybe 2, and then you got to take that van all the way back to get home to New York. You're exhausted. And then if it's wintertime and it's cold out, no. So I'm with Phaedra. To take your kids to Kentucky and all of that, like, that's a headache. That's a headache. And I mean, I understand where Phaedra is coming from, but at the same time, there is going to have to be some type of relationship. She could teach her sons how to write him letters and send him pictures and speak to him on the phone. I think that's good. I mean, don't completely shut him out, but to take them all the way to Kentucky from Georgia, and yeah, I empathize with Phaedra on that aspect. I wouldn't want to take, and they're so young. Aiden is only like 4. Dylan is only like maybe 2. If that, they don't need to be in no jail. I'm sorry. Maybe when they're a little bit older, or maybe, no, I don't feel like she should take them to visit Apollo. I'm sorry. I don't care who disagrees with me. I'm saying from my own personal experience, a child should not be nowhere in no jail visiting nobody. I am sorry. I know people take kids all the time, but just in my personal experience, I don't think kids should be in a jail visiting nobody. And I agree with Phaedra with that, but I wish people would stop jumping on her about it. Like, oh, she just don't want to take them because she mad at Apollo. No, visiting somebody, a loved one in jail is no joke. It's not fun. It's not a fun trip. There's other alternatives. And I mean, I respect Phaedra 100% for wanting to protect her kids, because I would do the exact same thing. Not to say I would keep them, like, if God forbid that ever happened to my fiance, that I would completely keep them from him. But that is like, I would go and visit him in jail myself. I don't think I would take my kids, because that's a lot. Especially for kids that age. Maybe if they were older. Maybe if Aiden and Dylan were like 9 and 10 somewhere, that age where they could understand what's going on or whatever. But they are young. Very young. They don't need to be in no jail. But that's just me. But after, you know, Candy and Phaedra cried and boo-hooed and apologized to each other. After Phaedra left, here come Don Juan, gossiping ass, talking about, not gossiping, but he just, this whole scene was just messy to me, because he said, does Phaedra know what's going on in your pregnancy? Why should you feel compassion and all of this for her when she's not reaching out to you, and blah, blah, blah. So Candy is like, well, I feel like we're working on rebuilding. I'm like, come on, they just settled their differences and said that they were going to be better friends to each other, and you come in here and you basically like, no, Candy, leave it alone. No, they were friends. They were best friends. They are best friends. They just had a moment where it's lack of communication. So for you to come in here and basically try to sway Candy's opinion, like, I understand what you're trying to do, Don Juan, but relax. Because Don Juan be throwing shade at all of these ladies. I be catching it. He be throwing shade at people, period. And that's why I said on Twitter, didn't Don Juan learn from throwing shade at people when Riley barked on him and Carmen on Candy's ski trip? I guess not. So I just thought that was a little messy, but you know, that was basically the episode. Not much really happened. It was mostly about Phaedra and Candy repairing their friendship, and Portia and her her sipping tea. But anyway, yeah, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and I will see you next video.